What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Gone Fishing 804. Today we are talking about your first bait caster. So I'm going to go through all the components on this bait caster, and then we're going to show you a few casts and show you how to work your way around your first bait caster. It's been a minute since I have done a video like this, and I've been getting asked a whole lot to do a bait caster video. So here it is. I hope you guys enjoy it. And with that being said, let's get it. All right, guys, so we're going to get familiar with this reel first, then we're going to talk about the rod and line setup and all that stuff. But this right here, of course, is your reel handle right here. And you use this to reel in the fish, you know what I mean? So you cast out and you reel in. This is that part right here, the reel handle. Up next, you have your star drag, hence the way that it looks just like a star. And the purpose of this star drag is you can loosen it or tighten it. So when a fish is pulling on it, he's pulling your drag out, pulling your drag out, pulling your drag out. Depending on the size of the fish, you can either tighten it by going clockwise, or you can loosen it by going counterclockwise. So when you have a really big fish on, and if you have that star drag too tight, what that fish is going to end up doing is popping your line. So you want to make sure that you have your star drag adjusted properly so that you can fight the fish without releasing any tension off of this line. Because as soon as you let that tension go off of the line, that fish is probably gonna be gone. I'm just saying, it's didn't happen to me a whole bunch. So always check and make sure you've got a little bit of pressure fighting you back on your tension knob, or your drag, excuse me. So you always want that to be, not too loose, but not too tight. Because like I said, a big fish will come, if your drag is too tight, he will pull and it just pop your line. So you want to make sure that you definitely have that adjusted properly. Up next, you have the actual spool tension knob. So what the spool tension knob is, exactly what it says, is it creates tension or friction on this spool inside your reel, right? So the tension knob is used to control the weight of your lure or whatever rig that you're throwing. You want to have that tension knob adjusted properly. The tighter you tighten this, the harder it is for your lure to fall. So I don't know if you can see it, but I will show you that on the other camera. But the tension knob controls your spool tension. So when you go in the cast, if you got that tension knob, this tension knob is too loose and you cast, and as soon as you cast, it starts bird nesting in here, you need to tighten your tension knob down. If you cast and you're fine at the beginning of the cast, but at the end it starts to bird nest, that's your break. So you need to tighten your break up. So that is what the tension knob does. It just purely puts tension on the spool so your lure can go up and go down and you be able to cast. And it takes some fine adjustments, but eventually you will get that and understand what that tension knob actually does. Next is your spool. Your spool is just a round aluminum or maybe steel spool. It looks like sewing needle wire that holds it, if you ever seen the inside of that. So that just holds your line, and there's two metal pieces that come out to your brake, and there's another metal piece that comes out to your tension knob. It's really one piece that goes through the center of that spool to the tension knob, so you can create tension. When you're screwing this tension knob, you're screwing down on that piece of metal that's going through the middle of this spool, and that creates the tension on that. And actually the brakes that are inside here off of your side plate, most of your bait casters come like this. You take this pin, pull it out, pull that pin out like that, and you can twist your side cover back and then off. So this is your actual side cover, and it houses the magnetic brakes. Some reels come with dual braking systems like this one, and it has a magnetic brake, which is here, and then it has a centrifugal braking system. And to turn these brakes on, you either pull them up or you push them down. So this one I have on. So generally speaking, what I like to do starting out is I will push all of these to on when I first get my reel, just because I don't know yet. You know, you never know what you're going to be throwing, and you want to make sure that you don't backlash. The main thing that we want to do here is avoid the backlash. The backlash is serious. You're going to do it. I still do it. I've been throwing a baitcaster for about 3 years. So let me let this plane go by.
10 seconds later.
All right, so like I was saying, I usually start with all the brakes on inside here for your centrifugal brake, and tighten your magnetic brake all the way down as well, because like I said, we want to avoid the backlash. The backlash is serious. You don't want to have those problems. Trust me, I'm telling you, I've been there. If I can get that back on properly. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell y'all about the spool release. That's your release knob right there. And all it does is just release the spool. When you release, you go to cast, hold your thumb down, cast out. You click it back in, you're good to go. So that's all the major components that are on the Baitcaster. And this is a mock crush combo. The setup came as one. If you guys are interested in like some budget setups, I'll leave a few linked down in the description from Lose. I only rock with Lose, as you guys know, so it'll be a Lose link that I leave down there, and you guys can check it out. All right guys, we have gone through the major components of your first Baitcaster. And like I said, we want to avoid the backlash at all costs. We definitely don't want to see that happen, but it's going to for real. Like it's no avoiding it. Like I said, I've been throwing a Baitcaster for 3 years, and from time to time I still backlash, but it's just part of the game, you know what I'm saying? So first thing you want to do, if you're a beginner, you know what I mean, I would not start with braid. I would start with mono, some cheap line, until you get comfortable with the Baitcaster, because like I said, backlash, you're gonna backlash good enough to where you're gonna have to cut some of this line off, and this braided line and that fluorocarbon and copolymer and all that stuff, it's expensive, and you don't want to spend a whole bunch of money just trying to learn how to throw your Baitcaster. But if you balling like that, you got the bread, then hey, by all means start with whatever you want. I'm just giving you a fair warning that it can get expensive just learning how to actually cast the Baitcaster and get confident with it. Now I want to tell you guys about how I set my tension and drag and all that, so you can start casting. Like I said, the first thing I do is I set that tension knob. So now I'm gonna click my spool release down, and as you can see, the weight that I have, this is for demonstration purposes only, by the way. I don't do this, it's just a weight that I have tied on there so you guys can get the gist. This is exactly what I would recommend that you do as well at the house or wherever you want to start practicing at. If you're going to be on dry land, you might as well get you a weight, you know, like a 1/2 ounce weight, egg sinker or something like that, because when you cast, you don't want it to get stuck in anything. So that's why I've tied this on. And like I said, I clicked my reel spool down, clicked it down, and my tension knob is super tight. I'm gonna just click back a couple times until I see that start to move, just like that. Slowly going down, just like that. So once you click it in, you want to see that lure move down ever so slightly, or your weight move down just very, very slowly. Just like that. Just barely moving down. Now make sure you got your brake set all the way pretty freaking tight, you know what I mean? Because that's gonna control at the back end of your cast. When it gets out there, it'll control and start slowing that lure down very slowly instead of letting this spool keep going and overrunning. You don't want it to overrun. You want it to stay kind of feeding off evenly, or you're gonna end up with a backlash, and that's no good, no bueno. Now once you've got this thing falling where you want it, we're gonna try to do a cast. There are several different casts you can do. There's overhand cast, sidearm cast, there's a roll cast, there's a pitch, there's a skip, there's all types of stuff. But I suggest you learn the sidearm cast first. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna step back, click your reel in, put your thumb on the spool, lean back, and then just cast and release. Just real easy for your first time. You just want to see how it moves, you know what I mean? Look, I'm stuck. You just want to see how it's going to roll first. You're trying to get the hang of it, you know what I mean? You click in with your thumb, put your thumb on your spool. Make sure you leave about 8 to 10 inches to the bottom of your weight or lure, whatever you have. Come back to the side and just flick your wrist, and that thing's gonna go. And what you want to end up with is this. You want your spool to look just like that. Say you got your spool too loose, you come back and you cast it so it's loose as I don't know what, and you cast it like Mighty Joe Young, you know, just that's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get. You don't want that, because these are horrible, horrible, horrible things. You don't want to be out there casting it like you Jose Canseco or Babe Ruth or anything. You want to take it easy first until you get the hang of that baitcaster and what it's going to do in the certain ways you cast. So that's how I recommend you start casting your first baitcaster, just like that. Because these are horrible, horrible, horrible things. You don't want to be out there casting it like you Jose Canseco or Babe Ruth or anything. You want to take it easy first until you get the hang of that baitcaster and what it's going to do in the certain ways you cast. So that's how I recommend you start casting your first baitcaster, just like that. And then there's an overhand cast, which would be the same thing. Let's tighten this tension back up. You click your reel in, put your thumb on there, your wrist straight back, and flick your wrist forward. That's an overhand cast, which is not bad. An overhand cast is not bad, but when you get into stuff like trying to pitch into trees and throw undercover up on the bank and stuff, the overhand cast is not going to be effective, because you're going to end up throwing your stuff into a tree, and that can account for all types of problems. I've lost a lot of lures like that as well, just throwing in trees, throwing on the side, you know, with not casting properly. So really, fishing for bass is more of an accurate sport per se, you know what I mean? You have to target the bass where you think they're going to be. You know, you don't just go out and throw your lure into any direction and just hope a bass is going to be there. For the majority of the time, I am casting at structure, I'm casting at wood, I'm casting at something where I think a bass will be hiding around a corner or something like that. It's not like you can just go out and just throw it anywhere and a fish gonna bite it. I mean, you might get lucky, It may happen. It does happen. I've had it happen before. I ain't say it's gonna happen, but for the most part, you need to be pretty accurate in where you're throwing your lure to present it to the bass properly. You guys start off with the sidearm cast. It's very easy, very easy. Click your reel in, put your thumb on there, flick your wrist, and she goes. Now at the end of your cast, you want to put your thumb, when you know it's about to hit that water, you put your thumb on that spool so it will not allow any more line to go out. Now as time goes on, guys, you know, when you just get started, you can set yourself up a little target like in your yard. Where is it at? That right there. That's my little target. So you can actually just get in the yard and start pitching and casting around and trying to hit this target however, you know, you see necessary. You want to just take that sidearm cast and try to hit that box. If I can even hit it. See what I'm saying? Took me a couple tries, but it's that's pretty close. Got it in there. There we go. But the whole purpose of it is to get yourself better and to get acclimated with the Baitcaster. And once you get acclimated to it, man, you ain't gonna have no problem. It's gonna be easy, bro, for real. Like, it's gonna be child's play, you know what I mean? So the only thing you gotta do is get started. That's it. You know, don't let you hold you up from learning how to use a Baitcaster. Couple more things, guys. I think I forgot a few things, all right? So what you want to do when you are setting your hook, when you set that hook, if you have your drag a little bit too loose, you know, you won't be able to put full tension on the actual line. So you need to make sure that your thumb is on that spool. When you go to set that hook, make sure your thumb is on there so you can drive that hook through the fish's mouth. Another thing I forgot to tell you guys, hey man, don't keep that tension spool and that brake super tight all the way. As you get better and better with the as you get better and better with the Baitcaster, you can back off of that brake and you can back off of that tension knob until you start to see, you think you're throwing it a little bit too far or it's starting to backlash on you a little bit. If it's backlashing at the beginning of your cast, just tighten that tension spool down just a touch. And if it's backlashing at the end of your cast, just tighten down on your brake just a little bit more, and then you'll have the perfect settings. So it is what it is, guys. Get out there, practice. Let me know your results. Any questions, any comments, any concerns, you already know what to do. Drop it down there. Oh, and if it's your first time stopping through the channel, please make sure you go ahead, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification so you won't miss anything that I post fishing related. And with that being said, keep them lines wet, because it's all about the hook set. Let's get it.